We're sitting with my friends, Kay Hanley, Michelle Lewis, artists, writers, extraordinaires, somethings.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Moguls. You forgot moguls.
Moguls. I reserved that for myself.
Takes what I want.
Tell me a little bit about how you two came together and started working together as writers.
Okay. Well, it's funny. Well, we spent a lot of time just missing each other for like probably the last 15 years or so. Our husbands went to college together.
We were on the same label.
We were on the same. We both got signed by Irving Azoff, both on Giant Records together. Never like I was.
And
at
she
the
was
beginning.
in Boston. I was in New York, doing the same.
A lot of the same
Lilith
people.
Fair, that kind of stuff.
Don't tell anybody that I did Lilith
No,
Fair.
sorry.
That goes into
Ruin my cred. So she had moved to Los Angeles, and then probably like a year later, I moved to Los Angeles, and she had been doing this development thing with Leeds and A at Columbia, and she was kind of putting together this girl band, like the Thorns or something like that, with my friend Nina Gordon.
Right.
And my other friend Tracy Bonham. But Tracy had to leave, and I was to do Blue Man Group or whatever. So when I was moving to LA, Nina was like,
I know the perfect person.
we gotta get Kay.
Yeah.
And so me and Michelle and Nina just
started writing for this thing, and then Kay and I really had more of like a writing rapport.
we were like full of piss and vinegar.
Yeah,
we just wanted to like write it all every day and like get stuff done. And
all different kinds of genres, or
well, no, this was for the Dilettantes. Which
so
was
it's very specific.
It's very specific
project.
kind of for the project. It's more like it was kind of power pop kind of stuff, just basically our taste in music kind of thing. And it was really fun. And we had all this energy for it, and we were ready to get going. Nina was a little like
Laurel Canyon or Nichols Canyon, like in her nightgown, just kind of
dogs running.
I love her solo record. By
she's
the way.
amazing. I mean,
did she do two solo records?
Yeah.
The first one was the big one, right? The one that had
Tonight Nurse to My Life.
Yes, what a great song. That was Bob Rock that did that.
And Kay's husband.
My husband was the guitar player on that.
Oh well.
Yeah. It's all very incestuous. Like we all of our friends play on each other's records, and we all knew we're on the same people and get married to each other's friends and whatever. It's crazy.
Tell me a little bit about what it's like to go from being artists to being on the other side, and now obviously a writing duo, writing team, working with other artists. Is it something that you always saw yourselves doing, or was it just a natural progression in your career?
Well, it seemed to be the way to sort of maintain your dignity. You know what I mean?
That's really true, yeah.
Because you can only sort of like get in a van for so long without feeling kind of pathetic.
Right.
So, I mean, not to put down getting in a van.
No, being in a band is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's bursting with dignity when you're 22.
Exactly, but then 32, you're a little like, you start thinking of the call from your parents, and like, what are you doing? And so, for me, and I think similarly for Kay, things just, you're in the music business, you're making music, and getting, people kind of know who you are, and so I had some solo records, and people started cutting, like other artists started cutting songs from my solo records. Like Kelly Osbourne did a song of mine, and like Cher did a song of mine that I had written for myself, and that's where I kind of thought like, oh, that has some dignity. Like I can kind of stay home and write those songs, and they can just kind of go off and put them out in the world, and that's what sort of put the little notion in my head that I didn't have to be the one performing the stuff that I was writing. And I think sort of similar.
Yeah, I mean, I started doing more like soundtrack work, and making money that way. When we moved to LA, though, I was like, I want to write songs for other people. Yeah. And so when I started working with Michelle, I knew that she did that, and I was always just kind of like, all right, well, listen to this thing that I just wrote. Another artist could cut this, right? And she'd just be like, that's not really a pop song, And I'd just be like, what are you talking about? It's like, the story's so linear, it makes so much sense, and it's like, and she'd just be like, how can I let this poor girl down easily? Like, these are not pop songs, So,
yeah, where you're coming from, you're like Bob Mould.
I know. I'm writing songs like
cred background. Yeah, like
writing songs, but whatever. But the thing that ended up being great was that my sensibility and her sensibility, in terms of our writing partnership, our sensibilities worked very, very well together.
Totally.
So let's talk a little bit about your band. You were in a band with a friend of mine, Stacey Jones, for what you said, 8 years. Did we decide on the time?
I don't know. It was like 8 years. It was like our 20s, our entire 20s.
And so tell me about that experience. You guys obviously had some hits, and you did a lot of touring.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like? Do you feel like bands nowadays can't really get that same experience now because it's become so much more difficult to be on a label or to get a label deal or to get radio promotion behind you?
I think the way we did things kind of suffered for a minute there because, everybody was getting signed or if you weren't signed, it was really hard to find your audience, but things have changed so drastically in the last 2 years where you really can just get in the van and it's actually better for indie bands now. If you're a band that's willing to, be self-sufficient, get in the van, book your own shows, make your own CDs, sell your own merch, it's like you could actually kind of make a living now, which at that time, we couldn't do. We all had day jobs, and then we'd, on long weekends, we'd get in the van and go down, from Boston to New York to Philly to DC, and then back again on Monday morning and back to work,
Just to go with that, there's nothing wrong with a musician with a day job. I just want to say,
oh my God,
there's been such this weird sense of entitlement to, I feel like with most of the young artists I work with, it's because of all of the reality shows that sort of that depict, what it's like to become a musician or whatever, and it seems like instant, it's such this overnight thing, no one wants to freaking work. They're all, thinking they're going to get a deal, the label's going to pay for everything, and everyone quits their day job the second they start to become
which is
a musician.
Insane.
It's insane.
It's I was a broke ass my entire career.